Hi, everybody. I am Deacon Dave.
I'm layperson Lisa.
Welcome to the Deacon Dave and Layperson Lisa show. What are you looking at, Lisa?
Somebody back
Is there someone back there?
there. Yes, they're going to their room.
Someone's trying to get on our podcast. It's not surprising. So we are still here in some undisclosed location in the middle of nowhere in Spain. We walked 18.8 miles today in 7 hours and 6 minutes, including 45 minutes of break, for an average pace of 2.59 miles per hour with the brakes, or 2.96 miles per hour without the brakes, in a driving rainstorm for, I would say, 17 and a half
Out of the
miles.
18.8 miles.
Yes, it was a lot of rain, and it wasn't drizzling, people,
It was windy.
and throwing down.
Yes, our pants got soaked
Yes.
all around.
Yes, but we are nice and showered and
Dry
warm
now.
and toasty and just. Are you warm and toasty yet?
No, I am.
You are. Yeah. So I think everybody had a long shower
Mm-hmm.
and with really warm water, and now we have had some wine and wine with Aquarius, depending on who you are, with a little bit of snacks, and now here we are doing the podcast. Lisa, what say you?
Well, today we took some shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
Our
Us?
route was originally going to be 20 miles.
Yes.
And then we saw the rain coming down. And so we had a shortcut right off the bat. And then we had another one.
A nice one.
Yes. One of ours was inadvertent.
The inadvertent shortcut.
Yes. And it worked out quite nicely.
Yes. What happened, Lisa?
We were headed to Sobrado, and Debbie and Colleen did not walk today because the weather was unfavorable. And we suggested they were going to meet us at the 10-mile marker, there or thereabout. And after it was raining all this time and we were cold and pretty much soaking wet, we suggested that maybe they consider taking the day off.
I think it was a good call.
Yes, I agree. And so they did take the day off, and we asked them to meet us in Sobrado so we could have lunch, the pilgrims, the menu del dia.
Very good, Lisa.
Gracias. And
That's gracias here in Spain.
And we were walking, and we saw a car stop a few feet in front of us, and we were
What's
off
going
the
on?
route. And we thought, is this person going to say, "Oh, you're not on the route, go back," or we didn't know what it was, and so we walked past the vehicle, and it was the lady from the hotel driving Debbie and Colleen
To where we were going to
to
meet
where
them.
we were going to meet them.
Still 3 miles away.
Yes, and they said, "Oh, do you want to ride?" And we said, "No, thanks."
No, which was sometimes it's just like, I think it's like when you there's a lot of times in life where we start something and it's difficult and we don't want to finish and we don't finish,
Yeah.
and we both agreed pretty quickly that no, we don't want to ride.
Right.
We're going to go because we've started this, and yes, it
We're
is.
almost done.
Look, we would have been perfectly justified, people, in throwing in a towel and getting in the car because it was cold, serious rain, wind. We were soaked after over 15 miles of walking,
Yes.
and with very little. We had 45 minutes of break, but we really hadn't eaten much. We had a chocolate eclair.
We had a chocolate eclair, which
I think that was
delicious.
it, and an apple.
An apple.
That's
some
what we had.
peanuts,
Did we have some? We did have a few
and a
peanuts.
little. We split a little piece of
lemon
little
bread.
tiny piece of lemon bread.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not enough calories to cover two people who have walked 15 miles. I'm just going to say this. Now, the route itself today was not hard.
No,
But the weather
made it challenging.
made it very difficult. And here, here's another point. So we were walking, right? And most of the surfaces, we didn't run into too much mud today because we were mostly on hard surfaces.
Comparatively so,
Yeah, right.
right.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. Yes.
But we were on the road, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We're on the road.
Yeah.
I've got these shoes that I'm wearing that are very comfortable, but they have no tread. I said, okay, well, the road is great because I don't have to worry about slipping on the road. Well, they had run this like black stuff and like spotted areas over the road, I think to fill in like holes or cracks.
Yeah.
That stuff with my shoes was slicker than a whistle.
Yes.
Slicker than an oil slick, Lisa.
Yeah.
And so here I am walking to this road not having to worry about mud puddles and sliding, but worrying about dark black areas on the road
And sliding.
and sliding. And so it made it a little bit more stressful for me because I had to do that. But these shoes are great because they're not hurting my toes.
They're all mesh.
They're all mesh and they're not bothering my toes, and all my toes are singing a joyful song of praise for these particular shoes. But it does provide a different set of challenges, right, to make sure that I am staying upright. So, just because we think things are going to be easier, right, that we're going to have a nice, smooth, paved surface, there may still be some difficulties, Lisa, that surface as a result of whatever it might be that we're going through.
Yeah, so we should never take it for granted
No,
that something is easy.
No, and we have to be prudent.
Yes.
Right? Because I think I don't know why I'm talking about this, but like most accidents happen near our home.
Yes.
Because we're so familiar with those areas.
Yes, we kind of lose focus.
Right. And I think the same thing is true in our spiritual lives, right? We can get really comfortable with doing the practices and the things that we normally do. And those practices will actually lead us away, right? Because it should be a ritual. And
Yes.
I don't think we've talked about this. It should be a ritual, but our routines can actually draw us away from God because they are no longer rituals, which are designed to draw us deeper into who God is. And so, we can do rosaries every day. We can do morning and evening prayer. We can do all of these things on a consistent basis, and yet find ourselves actually drifting away from a depth of relationship with God that maybe previously we had.
Yeah, because I used to pray liturgy the hours, the morning and evening prayer, and I got to the point where I was just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let me listen to this on like the highest speed, or let me just read this really fast. And I wasn't letting God speak to me through it, and so I stopped doing the liturgy the hours because I didn't feel like it was bringing me closer to God. And now there's times where I still will do it. I do like to read like the Office of the Readings, like the second reading, which is like from the father of a church.
Right.
Father. What do you call it?
Church father.
Church fathers. Thank you. So I do it, but I don't have. It's not on my list. Like, oh, I have to do this today.
Well, I think that like we have talked about this before, right? Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And we try to do so many things in this pursuit of growing in holiness, and exactly the opposite has. We actually can become stagnant or even frustrated by the fact that we don't feel like we're making progress. And so it's really quality over quantity that is important. Then we ran into some people from Maine today, or at least I did.
Yes.
And they were chatting, and they started a Ribadeo, so they only started less than a week ago. And they're walking to Santiago. This is their first time on the Camino. And they asked me if I was Catholic. I said, yes, in fact, I'm a Catholic deacon. So I don't know how this all happened, but it did. And so this guy went to confession for the first time in 25 years. He
on
said,
the Camino.
Yeah, and he said it was great because he said, I didn't understand what the priest was saying, and he didn't understand what I was saying, but I got it all out.
Oh, interesting. So he must have went to a Spanish-speaking priest.
Yes, because I asked him if the priest understood him.
Oh, interesting.
And he said no, and it was like one of those ones where you kneel outside the confessional.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And he said the other people were looking at him like, wow, what's going on with this guy? But he had a bad confession.
Yeah.
He told me 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it stopped him from going to confession. Maybe you've had a bad confession. This is something that I hear.
Bad experience.
Yeah, a bad experience. I'm sorry. Thank you, Lisa. A bad experience with confession because maybe the way it was handled wasn't out of love, right? Which is how it should be handled. I'm not a priest. I don't do confessions. But I certainly appreciate someone who approaches the sacrament out of love. And that's who Jesus is. And so maybe you've had an experience of confession that has kept you away for many years. Well, listen, maybe this is the episode for you. Maybe us meeting this guy from Maine out here in the middle of nowhere, Spain, because we are literally in the middle of nowhere. Okay, if you I don't think you could find us on a map where this place is at. Okay, I'm not even sure it has a name, but he had an opportunity to go to confession.
Yeah.
We're gonna encourage you to go to confession.
Yeah.
All right, and allow God's love and mercy to go for you to receive that. And I would actually encourage you that if you have had like a difficult experience with confession, And go to a priest that you trust and tell them, listen, I haven't been in however many years, and here's what happened. Okay, and I watched this podcast, and I really want to go back to confession. It could happen, Lisa.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're not keeping up with this stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a takeaway from this is that, and I told the guy, I said, listen, when you go home, I said, keep going.
Yeah.
But he did tell me that the reason he hadn't gone was because of a bad experience. And a lot of times we have bad experiences with the church, with someone in the church, and it actually separates us from God.
Yeah.
We should not be letting circumstances or people separate us from God. Yeah, I think we all want people to be like perfect, but the church is a hospital for sinners. And so this expectation that everything's going to go perfect, well, it ain't happening.
Right.
All right. But God is perfect. And he loves us. He loves you. And he wants you to come and offer all of who you are at the Mass. He wants you in reconciliation. He wants you and him to be right.
Yeah.
That's super important to him. Lisa, any thoughts?
Well, I think it's, I think sometimes we put clergy like on a pedestal, and they're, like you said, Deacon Dave, they're just sinners just like us. And so we shouldn't put these expectations on them that they're perfect, and that, because they're sinners in the church, we may have poor experiences or negative experiences with people who work for the church or within the church, and we shouldn't let that distract us from our relationship with Jesus, because that's what's important, not what somebody, and I know it can be hurtful and everything, but like maybe just allow Jesus to enter into that and to help us to forgive that person and to allow him to draw us closer to him.
Yeah, so if you are one of these people and you're not really sure how to proceed, well, reach out to Lisa or myself. If you need someone to talk to about it, happy to talk with you about it, because it's kind of important.
Very important.
I actually think our podcasts are better when we don't plan them.
Okay.
Because we didn't really plan this one.
We don't ever plan them. What are you talking?
Wait, don't listen to her, people. It's intense planning that goes on with this.
Okay.
I have no idea what she's talking about. Oh, now I got to go to confession. Anyway, no. But we planned less on this one, I would say.
Okay.
Relatively speaking.
I don't know. We usually have like a topic or two we're going to talk about.
I'm Deacon Dave.
Like,
see you next time.
Bye.